What's up, guys? It's your boy X back at you again with another video today, and today we're going to be doing another drawing time lapse using the Procreate program. And this video I'll be drawing a peony with two smaller peonies around it. So let's get into it. I'm kind of going to break down my process for this one. For peonies, typically I like to start with 2 to 3 rings to kind of act as a guide as to, you know, the overall size of the composition of the peony. So the outer ring would be where the larger petals are going to go. The inner ring will be where the bulb of the peony will be, and then, you know, I'll loosely rough in you know, how I feel the peony should be shaped. It's pretty rudimentary sketch, just try to be very loose, free, and organic. Not really focused on, you know, nailing anything down, just trying to find the form that I'm looking for. And once I find the general form, then I'll go back into the program, lighten the layer with the opacity, and then start trying to carve out the line work for the piece. As far as the bulb of the peony goes, if you look at peonies in nature, the inner petals of the bulb, the ones that aren't fully developed, are usually more rounded and not so broken, so I try to keep those pretty smooth in nature. And as the flower opens up, as you move from the center of the flower out towards the outer edges, then that's when, you know, the weathering and, you know, the decay starts to form. So that's when I start introducing, you know, bumps and cuts and other textures into those petals, because, you know, over time, as the plant ages, those petals are going to be the ones that are exposed to the elements first. So that's why, you know, they should have those bumps and cuts and things like that. So right now I'm just trying to figure out which direction I want to take each petal. Sometimes it'll take me a few attempts. I'll experiment with different layouts of how I want them to lay. And now I'm moving on to the secondary line weights. So, you know, I outlined it with a thicker pen, and now I'm going back with a thinner one just to add some contour lines. That'll help, you know, help show the form, as well as, you know, add a second layer of complexity to the line work. So now moving on to the secondary and tertiary forms, which will be the bulbs and the leaves that are surrounding the peonies. So I'm just trying to figure out where they live, lay down some landlines as to where the stems are going to be, and then from there starting to branch off and develop the leaves that are going to be growing from those branches, as well as starting to move into the shape of the peony bulbs. Yeah, peonies are one of my favorite flowers. Probably my second favorite flower would be roses, but as far as my favorite goes, I would say peonies are definitely my favorite, and I particularly like to draw them in a neo-traditional style. Pretty like light and bubbly, and just more delicate looking. I like that style, but still retaining longevity through bolder line work. I think that's important as well. So looks like I'm playing around with composing the bulb. So I think a good way to do that is to try and visualize in your mind the a 3D shape of a bulb and twisting it to the perspective that you're looking for, and trying to find the center point of where that bulb is going to be. And that way, that'll let you know how to start laying your petals out. And that might take some practice. It's not very easy at first to start visualizing shapes in three-dimensional space in your mind, but the more you do it over time, the easier it gets, and then the easier it'll be to draw these or essentially anything out of your head. I didn't use any reference for this drawing at all. It's just the way that I like to draw them, and it's just a system that I find that works for me personally. So I feel like it's important to try and deconstruct pieces of subject matter and learn their different stages of their life, of their lifespan, if they're organic matter. That way you can have a more thorough understanding of how it works. That way you can remember what structurally composes the subject matter so that you can draw it later. For other things, and it doesn't work for everything, some things you will need to reference, and that's totally cool. I reference things all the time, but as much as you can, it's important to, study objects, try to draw them from as many different angles as possible, and really try to commit it to memory, so that when you're getting ready to create or reproduce whatever that piece of subject matter is, you can draw on your memory banks instead of reference material. And if you can start to do that, then that's when you can start taking stylistic liberties with your artwork and start developing a style for yourself, or start chasing one anyway. Start chasing your artistic identity, which is something that I'm currently looking for myself, is trying to find my own artistic identity. And what I mean by that is when someone can look at a piece that you've done without you telling them, or without anyone telling them, and they're able to identify it as something that you've done. I think that's something that all artists should aspire to. But now it looks like we're moving on to the shading phase. So I'm still in Procreate. I think I'm using my watercolor brushes for this. And the way that I've been experimenting with fast painting on Procreate is depending on the selection tool to isolate and compartmentalize specific pieces within the subject matter. That way I can color them independently. In this specific piece here, I'm doing that, but instead of trying to shade everything, I've just been dropping in fields of color and then selecting them, and then using the eraser to create the gradient that you're seeing in each one of the leaves and each one of the petals. I've also wanted to keep the contrast relatively high, so the stem leaves as well as the stems themselves for the bulbs are considerably much darker, as well as the back sides of some of the petals. You can see that they're darker, just to create more contrast and to create that separation, which will give it more of a dynamic look. But yeah, I had a really good time with this. It was probably one of my earliest experiments messing around with Procreate. This was a drawing for a client. Unfortunately, they turned it down and we ended up going in a different direction. And this piece is still available to be tattooed if anyone's interested. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for future content. And yeah, man, see you in the next one.